Hello and welcome to today's episode of Rainer on Leadership, your online home for leadership lessons and advice for the local church and beyond. We've got some good stuff today. I'm your host, Tom Rainer, the founder and CEO of Church Answers. I'm joined by the president of Church Answers, Sam Rainer, and in a place where you cannot see her, which is a shame because she is a much better presence than Sam and me, is Amy Jordan in Henrico, Virginia, just right outside of Richmond. And it's
Enrico. Please, somebody from Virginia correct us.
Yeah. Well,
Amy just told us.
Yeah, she just told us. And also not on the screen is our production manager, Akeem Abdul-Morella. Akeem, I know you can hear me, but you can't see me. Always good to have you along with us. Today, we are celebrating a lot of things. We recently announced back in November the 11th, if I remember correctly, November the 11th, a partnership with Tyndale. And we are, just to say we're excited is an understatement. But one facet of this partnership is a relationship with what Jeff Hilliard is going to talk about. And it's about getting Bibles to the troops. And we'll be talking about that more. But Jeff, I know you're in California, but where are you in California, my friend?
Near Sacramento, the craziest part of Sacramento, and we were in Rocklin, California, which is a little toward Lake Tahoe, east of Sacramento a little bit.
All right. Well, you got a big Lake Tahoe fan on here with Sam. He loves that.
A few times. It's a great area, beautiful area,
beautiful place.
Well, so glad to have you here. We won't say a word about our other sponsor, and then we'll get back to Tyndale and we'll get back to the Operation Worship in just a moment. But we want to thank Southeastern Seminary. They're committed to helping you get the training you need to pursue your ministry from anywhere in the world. We're particularly excited because we have a joint degree offering with them in church revitalization, and we love that one. They have many degrees, but that was the one we always like to mention. If you apply to Southeastern Seminary, there's a code that you can use, Church Answers, one word, no space, Church Answers, plural, and they'll waive the application fee. So no matter what stage of the journey you find yourself, we want to help you take your next step in getting equipped to disciple and teach others. In coming to Southeastern, you'll find that seminary isn't just about theological education. It's about ministry preparation. So you can look at all the degrees. You can schedule a visit. You can apply today at sebts.edu. That's sebts.edu, or you can see it in the show notes. Okay, we're going to talk to Jeff Hilliard, who's the president and CEO of Compudigital. Jeff, you have a fascinating background. We're going to hear a lot of it, but we really want to hear about the free camo Bibles, the military through Operation Worship, and the Open Window Foundation. And we've already mentioned that Jeff resides near Sacramento with his wife, Patti. And so, Sam, I'm going to let you start with some of the things we want to hear from Jeff, but it is great to have you here, and we'll look forward to this conversation.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, just jumping right in, can you tell us about Operation Worship and how it all got started?
I sure can. This is a fun story. I'm an entrepreneur, and we've had a company for many years. I think we're going on 35 years in business now. And boys, God bless this place. We do a lot of work for software engineering for big companies. That's how we started. And back in 2006, our company was making a lot of money. And our CPA said, you know what, Jeff, you're making too much money. And you need to go out and buy a capital asset. And you see that cannon behind me right here. That's what I decided to buy. And the reason I bought this is so we can launch T-shirts at Christian concerts. And I said, is this something you can write off? And he said, let's give it a go. I don't know, but we'll ask for permission later. So I spent $7,000 on this cannon. And a friend of mine comes over to my office before I ever tried to launch a T-shirt in that cannon and said, listen, you got your cannon? And I had just gotten it and never fired it. He said, let's forget the T-shirts. Let's fire a monkey out of there. So he's a monkey salesman. Okay. So he had
if you're listening on the podcast, you need to go over to the YouTube channel and see.
Oh yeah.
There's a monkey in Jeff's hand.
There's a monkey in my hand. Okay. And no monkeys were harmed during this entire process. Okay. So I just want to let PETA know there's no issue here. So anyway, I had this great idea. I went outside my office, and outside is a big old parking lot. It was empty. And I couldn't figure out how to get the monkey in the cannon, so we got a broom handle. We stuffed that guy in there. I went outside. Here's a guy, a hippie freak about my age. He's 60, 70 years old, smoking a cigarette, talking on a flip phone. This is in 2006. And he's not looking at me. He's looking the other direction. And I told my friend Larry, watch this. And I launched this monkey, and it went from behind him, right over his head, landed in front of him. And this poor guy is in disbelief. He's looking in the sky, and he said, dude, I'm not kidding. A monkey just fell out of the sky. This is a true story, okay? Now, this is the start of Operation Worship, okay? So anyway, and he is looking at his cigarette to see if it was really what he thought he was smoking. But anyway, he's looking up, trying to figure out, where did that monkey come from? And me being a typical guy, I said, hey, Larry, give me another monkey. And he never turned around, and I shot a second one, and it landed in front of him, and he said, I am out of here. And he slammed his phone shut and backed his way into his office. And I said, you know, Larry, do you sell these? He said, yeah, $3 a piece. And I said, I want 500 of them. And I took him to the first concert we had, which was Spirit West Coast in Monterey, California. And they introduced me as the Monkey Commando. Now, I don't like that name. I never did like that name, but it was a guy from Georgia who came up with this, with his great accent. And when we came up on the stage and launched all these free monkeys, the crowd went nuts. We got more applause than the headliners, which ticked off the newsboys. Okay, whatever. And we shot these things until we ran out. So that was the start of this. And we're thinking, you know, maybe there's something to this. And everybody got mad at us because the parents that couldn't catch a monkey, their kids didn't get a monkey, wanted to buy them, and we weren't selling them. Well, you can bet the next year we brought monkeys and we sold them as well. But here's the big thing that happened. After this concert, I got a telephone call 2 weeks later from Lieutenant Colonel Steve Young in the U.S. Army. And he said, are you the Monkey Commando? And I said, who's asking? Because I couldn't figure out, who cares? He said, well, this is Lieutenant Colonel Steve Young. I'm a chaplain in the Army. And man, that cannon you got is a big deal. Can you bring that to my military base and shoot monkeys to the kids at a Christian concert we're going to have? Absolutely. So I did that, brought a crew of guys with me. We brought another 500 monkeys. And believe it or not, after a 3-hour concert, and I almost passed out after shooting that many monkeys nonstop. And I shot the first 10 monkeys, and every kid in the place was crying because he didn't get one. And I got fortunate, a team of guys with me, and we shot monkeys through the entire 3-hour concert. And every kid got a monkey, and there was not one kid that didn't, and nobody got two. It was amazing because it was exactly what we needed. So just picture this. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Young gets promoted to the Assistant Chief of Chaplains of the Army at the Pentagon. And all of a sudden he calls me and said, I need you to come to the Pentagon with your cannon at the 9/11 Memorial Service. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. So wow. I did. He got me a uniform that was an Army issued uniform that says Monkey Commando on the shirt, which I'm not wearing today. But anyway, and then he told me, I want you to wear this uniform. And I said, no, I'm not in the military, never been in the military, da, 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 da. And long story short, he said, that wasn't a question. That wasn't a question. He said, you're going to wear your uniform to the Pentagon. You guys, I did this 9/11 Memorial Service, brought the cannon, and getting that on an airplane was a real story that I can tell you about some other time. We got more time. But the bottom line is I shot monkeys at this 9/11 service, and we were invited back for 2 additional years because it was such a hit at a solemn event like the 9/11 Memorial. Mm-hmm. Okay. After this, we decided let's make this a U.S.-wide military tour, which we did. And we were bringing the monkey cannon. I was in my uniform. We're going all over the country to different military bases and bringing Christian artists in, and I'm launching monkeys. And these are all the top artists you'll know about. At Fort Hood, Texas, I met a chaplain there as we were doing an event. And I said, listen, I got a question. I said, if I had all the money in the world and I could supply you with a ministry tool that you need, what would you order? And he said, Bibles, no question. And I was shocked. I said, what do you mean Bibles? And he said, you know, Jeff, he said, we get the New Testament out here and it's not what we need. We need the Old and the New Testament. Oh, why? And he said, because these folks want to know why they're here. And that's in the Old Testament. Why are we fighting this war? Mm-hmm. And it goes way back, right? And I'm thinking about this and thinking, you know, with the money that God has provided us, I'll bet we can change history with this. And I called Tyndale House Publishers, and this is what they came up with.
Wow.
Tyndale is an amazing publisher. They've been around an awful long time. This is the Operation Worship Bible that they came up with. It fits into the shirt pocket, the sleeve, or the pants of the Army guys for sure, with everybody. Their uniforms now are very much the same. So in preparation for this, I called Billy Graham. His grandsons are both friends of mine. And I said, listen, I need some Bibles to get to Fort Hood. They ordered 50,000 Bibles for Fort Hood. And I was trying to figure out, what do you need so many Bibles for? And he said, we've got deployments right now. This is back in 2006. We have huge deployments. We need all the Bibles we can get. And so Billy Graham only had 6,000 big Cove study Bibles, the big 3-pound Bibles, and they sent them to me. And they got here right before another Spirit West Coast concert. So this took about a period of a year to put together. But when we got them, I took them to Spirit West Coast. I stood up on the stage as we're launching Monkeys, and I said, guys, I got an opportunity for you. I want you to open this Bible up in the front. Doesn't cost you a dime. And I want you to sign a message of encouragement to a soldier. And as we pass these out, you got 30,000 people out there. Everybody's in tears. And I couldn't figure out why. And I was trying to figure out, well, who are these big bruising 300-pound guys crying out here while they're signing a Bible? And it turns out they're guys from Vietnam who told me this would have changed my life if I got one of these in Vietnam.
Wow.
It really impacted me. So the bottom line is we started a process up with Tyndale where they said, look, if we can get you Bibles and get your Bibles into bookstores and sell them and have people donate them, can you pay for the freight to get them back to you and get them deployed? And I agreed to that. My wife and I talked about it and said, yeah, you know what, man, if we could do 25,000 Bibles in the life of this ministry, it'd be so awesome. And so we did that. They set this up in 2,600 bookstores around the country. And I think in the first year, we did 275,000 Bibles to the military.
Amazing.
We just hit 1.7 million Bibles deployed.
Wow.
Now, I got to tell you, in this whole process, I never, ever had it in my heart to do anything with Bibles. This was a monkey cannon. That's the only thing in my own mind that was going on that caused me to even think about anything like this. But God turned this into something major, and now they are everywhere in the world at every military base there is. And anybody that you know that comes back from the military, ask them about the Operation Worship Bible. Have you ever seen one of these things? And they're going to say, oh, those are everywhere.
That's
in the war. Yeah.
So how does someone in the military get the Bible, Jeff? How does it get to them personally?
Well, this is really an interesting comment. We sent them only to chaplains. I met a chief of chaplains of the Army at one time, and he said, Jeff, do me a favor. He said, I love your ministry, love what you're doing, but keep me out of trouble and send these to chaplains only. Don't send them to individuals because the chaplains know the law. There's a law in the military. You cannot hand anybody a Bible. That's a law in the United States. And so I said, great. So chaplains started contacting me when they heard about this ministry, and it was absolutely amazing. I work currently with about 800 chaplains, and all they do is ask. It doesn't cost them a dime. We ship them. We do the whole thing. And God has so far put enough funding together that we're now printing another 70,000 Bibles this year and another 70,000 in the first part of 22. And that's not enough. We need more.
Wow. That's
well,
incredible.
I must say this really is a fascinating story. But I'd love to hear about some of the biggest challenges that you've had, and what are some of the ongoing challenges?
You're not going to believe the first challenge, which hit me on March 12th, 2006. So we're just getting this started. And you'll notice that I have 4 wedding rings.
I did not, but
I see it now.
Now you do, right? I got 4 wedding rings. I'm only married to one woman for 45 years.
Glad to clarify that would have made this a very awkward podcast otherwise.
Yeah, I've been through quite a few wives, you guys. No, I've been married to one woman. Listen to this, March 12th, 2006. I went into a Mexican restaurant, and you're going to find out this is significant. Went into a Mexican restaurant to get my dinner and with my son-in-law. and I ordered 2 chicken quesadillas because I had trouble with more like, what is it? Heartburn. Let's call it heartburn. And I had actually gone into the hospital at one time for this and stayed there 3 days for testing, and I was fine. This particular day, though, I went in and I ordered 2 chicken quesadillas because it didn't give me heartburn, and they gave me the wrong order. I got 2 pork carnitas tacos. Now, I don't know if you've ever had those, but carnitas will light you right up. Those things are hot. And I was 3 minutes away from this place. I opened up the bag. My son-in-law and I are looking at it, go, oh man, they gave you the wrong order. I don't know what that is. I said, I'm going to eat them anyway. So I ate these things, and within 30 minutes, I had the worst heartburn I've ever had in my life. So my wife said, take a couple of Rolaids. I took 10 of them because, 2 do a pretty good job, so 10 must do better. And it took the pain away. At 4 o'clock, I went to bed. 4 o'clock the next morning, I woke up with twice the heartburn I had when I went to bed. And so I said, Patti, I started rolling around on the floor at 4 in the morning. She said, what's the matter? And I said, I've got really bad heartburn. And she said, well, take some more of those Rolaids. And God impressed upon me, you need to call 911. Now, I'm not a guy that would call 911 if I was dying, but I kept saying, let's call 911, which I did. Paramedics came out, put an EKG on me, the whole thing. They said, you're in good shape. But I got in the ambulance and I had a cardiac arrest 1 mile down the road on the way to the hospital. They pulled over. My wife was behind them, and they stopped. She stops, pouring rain, and a fireman came up to my wife's door and said, he just passed out. Why don't you go to the hospital? What I had done is I went into cardiac arrest. The driver of the ambulance and the medic were in the back trying to revive me, and they did get me revived. My wife took off, went to the hospital. I'm going to make this really short. I had 2 more between the time I left there and got to the hospital. So I had 3 on the way. Now, survival rate of cardiac arrest is 5%, and I had 3 of them. I got to the emergency room, and I'm laying on the table, and I'm not even with it because I had all these cardiac arrests, and I was full of drugs at that point. But let's move ahead. One day in advance of that, I was in intensive care, and a doctor walks into my office. You're going to see how God's fingerprints are all over this thing. And a doctor walks into my office and said, do you know who I am? And I said, no. He said, do you know why you're here? And I said, I don't know why I'm here. And he said, well, you've had 3 cardiac arrests, and you had a 4th one when you were in the operating room table. And he said, I was there working on you. Wow. And so he said, I need to tell you what happened because you're going to need another surgery. And I said, okay. And he said, you had died, and we stopped. And he said, but I was cleaning up. We were going to call the coroner. And he said, you were covered up with a sheet, and I was cleaning everything up. And he said, do you know what epinephrine is? And I said, well, I do know what it is. He said, do you watch ER? No, I don't. And he said, well, we shoot this into your heart, usually to try to restart your heart again. And he said, I did that, and you didn't respond. And so we were done. But he said, as I was cleaning up, I had a full bottle of 9 doses of epinephrine. And he said, I pulled it into a syringe and I shot it into you. And while everybody else is looking in shock in the room. And he said, there were 5 nurses in there and 3 doctors. And he said, started doing CPR, and they're all looking at me like, he's dead. What are you doing? And he said, you actually woke up and you started mumbling. I think I was speaking in tongues, actually, but
Wow.
He said you were mumbling and nobody could understand you. So he said, we went down and did a brain scan to see if you'd had a stroke, and you didn't. And he said, so here's the deal. He said, epinephrine will destroy your liver. You need to have a liver transplant for sure. So when you see your cardiologist, tell him I told you this story and have him do a liver test. You guys, here's what ended up happening. I had no liver damage, and I had no heart damage at all. And
Amazing.
It's amazing. So I ended up asking my cardiologist, look, why am I here? And he said, Jeff, he said, I think you encountered an angel because we went and checked on this doctor, and he doesn't exist. He doesn't work at that hospital. And I said, really? My doctor, my cardiologist is an on-fire believer from India. And he said, Jeff, I've only witnessed that once before. And I started thinking about it and going, you know what? Listen, this is crazy. I said, it took 2 angels to take out Sodom and Gomorrah, and I met one of them. I met an angel. Why do I deserve that? I don't deserve that. And so that's only half my story. Yes. So there's a challenge for you. But while this is all going on, I was out for quite a while, but the volunteers picked up and kept it going.
That's an amazing story. Hey,
How about that?
it is an amazing story. Before we wrap this up, Jeff, talk to us. We got listeners all over the world, and they're hearing your story. But let's put a bow on it by talking about the Camo Bibles and Operation Worship, and let's ask this question: Why should they donate to Operation Worship right now? What is it that should be compelling them at this point?
There's two things. Number one, the need far outstrips the Bibles we have right now. We are short on Bibles. There's a paper shortage. There's a printing press shortage, so we can't get them printed. We need the funding to fund. We on order right now with the order we're going to place shortly. We're going to be at 150,000 Bibles. We need more than that. We need a couple of $100,000 to buy Bibles for this coming year, and the need is very high. You know, it's interesting. When we put those Bibles out for Fort Hood, they put them on a pallet so guys could pick them up when they got on just to go to the war. How many people you think out of 100 picked them up? I was absolutely stunned. 99 out of 100 picked the Bible up. What does that tell you? You know, when you get on, you're getting on a plane to go to you don't know where, to go to a war. What's the need? The need is everybody.
That's great.
Yes.
And this is a perfect way for us to tie it up. Let me mention this, and Jeff has alluded to it. We mentioned it at the front, that Tyndale is more than a business partner. Tyndale is a ministry God-given partner, and Tyndale partners with Jeff. Tyndale partners with Church Answers. We have this partnership not because of first any type of business arrangement, but because of the ministry heart that they have. And to just hear how you and Tyndale partnered in the onset, and Tyndale has asked for all of this month that their sponsorship be all about Operation Worship. I mean, you talk about a heart for ministry. They could be selling things, they could be doing other things, but they have said, no, we want to talk about Operation Worship. So, Jeff, you know, we'll miss you, and Jeff Hilliard won't be on the other podcast, but the other podcast will be a lot about Operation Worship. So we're closing the Tyndale's partnership right now. The closing is about Operation Worship. Here's what you need to know. Every day, thousands of soldiers and military families ask for God's word to fight fear, stress, anxiety, and depression. This holiday season, give them an Operation Worship Bible. It's just $6. That gets it into the hands of a military member. Bibles are printed in the U.S. and shipped to military chaplains throughout the world, and they deliver them to our brave service members. Remember this number now. More than 1.5 million Operation Worship Bibles have been distributed to military personnel around the world. It's an incredible story. You can visit deploybibles.com right now to make your tax-deductible donation. The link is in the show notes, and you can see that as well. Jeff, it's been great. Thank you, my friend.
We are blessed, and thank you so much. Yeah, it's a great ministry you guys got going on there. Love it.
Well, and the same with you. Thank you again for being with us on Rainer on Leadership. Watch us on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Like us on YouTube. Come to YouTube to see us. Maybe Sam and I aren't the most pleasant to see, but maybe Jeff's again. But you can listen to us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or in your favorite podcasting app, iTunes, of course. And join us online at churchanswers.com, where we are growing healthy churches together.